This is Our View, brought to you by the proud members of the Washington Federation of State Employees. Under consideration for closing the Nassau Youth Camp, a facility for juvenile offenders, the residents of the area say it would be a disaster for their community. But of even more concern, it would be a huge setback for troubled youth who need our help.
If the Nassau Youth Camp closes, then kids are going to be in a maximum institution, a lot more sophisticated and dangerous juveniles that are going to impact them in the wrong way. And in my mind, really the facility where kids need to end up at so that they can step into society and be meaningful, contributing citizens.
Every juvenile offender that comes in here, there's something positive they leave with. I'm not, saying that it's 100% effective, but I'm saying that I've been here for about 30 years, and I've seen lots of success stories, and I've never seen a community stand behind public safety the way this one does.
I'll be able to go to college, which when I first got locked up was not a thing in my future. I didn't care for school, but in getting locked up I was able to appreciate the educational program that was being given to me, and I was able to use it to the full potential. I have got my GED and high school diploma and have grants and scholarships because of what I did in my work. So my plan is to get to college.
Many of these boys will be robbed of the chance to overcome their problems, to be able to put their life back together and move into society to be useful and helpful parts of the society.
I see that as such a strong point of our youth camp here, is that they do bring the community in, and we interact with those kids and have impacts on their lives, and as well as what they bring back to us at the community.
Well, I think the program has proven itself not only by state standards, but to the community. And the camp itself and the staff and the students at the camp have become part of the fabric of the community. And I think one person here testified and said it best when they said, it used to be not in my backyard. Now these are our kids and they're in our backyard.
He went in as a boy and came out a man, and I'm very grateful for Nassau Youth Camp. They held me from making the right choices and not giving up, and that's a big thing when you're going through something so horrible as to have your child taken from you at such a young age.
The Nassau area, with its resources, Department of Natural Resources and other opportunities for young people, meets the needs of the entire state. Okay, two needs there. And what are our values? Our values are that young person who's gone astray should get another chance and have rehabilitation and have a comprehensive education to work and contribute to society. So people coming together with shared needs and values. That's what's happening here tonight. We need to keep the youth camp open.
Washington recently went through another storm, this time a combination of heavy snow and flooding. Once again, the crews of the Washington Department of Transportation helped get us through it. But then the real work takes place, and it can go on for months.
After the event, oftentimes what people don't see is the ditches that have been filled, the trees that have came down that have blocked the drainage systems, the mudslides that have to be, and rock slides that have to be hauled away out of the ditches, and that we've just stuffed into a location until we can get it, so we can get the roads open and keep the public traveling. We still have to go in and haul out all of the material to make room for the very next event. So the next rainstorms or snowstorms, we have room for that material to go to keep the roads passable, and the culverts have to be cleaned out so they're not plugged anymore. The people have to be able to get home to the outlying highways and back and forth to work, and the grocery stores there, and the doctor's appointments, and all of the outlying, the secondary main, other than the main I-5 corridor, all of those roads are impacted greatly with the slides and the snow and the storm damage and the trees that are down, you know, sticking out onto the fog line to where a car can't pull over. All of that has to be, you know, taken care of, and it takes time and manpower.
Every day I feel like I've given 100% and the taxpayers got their monies for us. You know, if there's days like that, you wonder, why in the heck do I get out of bed to come and do this? But here we are, 30 years now, so.
There's a lot of instances that I see people don't want to get off their cell phones. Yeah, it's the law not to be on the cell phone driving down the road. But this still does happen. Or I see people driving and reading or changing their clothes. I would like you to be aware of what the situation is ahead. If you see lights, pull over, get off the cell phone, and slow down.
I think we did pretty well down here with everything that was thrown at us. We had it started out with very cold weather and then turned into quite a substantial snow event. And after the snow event, it turned into quite an impressive rainfall in this area especially. And then we had the mudslides and then the floods afterwards. So now now we're in cleanup mode for the damage that the snow did and the rain and the slides also.
You'd think our state legislators would be welcome at state work sites to make sure the jobs are being done. You'd think that, but you'd be wrong. Therefore, a House committee had to bring up a special bill to assure meetings with state workers can happen.
This year we were told you can't go to ecology because legislators can't go to state offices. And that sort of hit us by surprise. The Ethics Board said, and this is in an email that I have, meeting with legislators is not part of a union contract. If the union wants to have folks meet with legislators, they need to do that in the legislator's office, not in a state facility, which I find interesting. I always thought it was a state facility over here. It would violate the Ethics Act by providing special privilege by using state resources for political reasons. So the purpose of this bill is to clarify that legislators do in fact have a right and in fact a responsibility to meet and to work with the state employees and to hear their concerns and to visit state agencies and see in fact what is going on.
We ended up meeting in the cafeteria because agency policy doesn't allow meetings. It doesn't allow the union to meet in any room that holds more than 15 people. We've typically had 40 to 50 people turn out to these. The cafeteria, if anyone's ever been in a meeting at the ecology cafeteria, is kind of like meeting in a gymnasium in the middle of a basketball game. It's very loud and echoey, and it was unfortunate we had to meet there. Management has said they will make arrangements in the future that if legislators come, we'll find a room with better acoustics.
A look at our union history and Spokane. Here's Ross Reeder.
In 1909, Spokane was a center for the agricultural, lumber, construction, and mining industries. Employment agencies recruited workers for these jobs. These agencies charged the prospective workers a fee of $1 to refer them to businesses that could use their services. The nature of these employment agencies made rapid turnover of the workforce more profitable. A number of the employment agencies entered into agreements with employers to maintain a constant status of one crew coming, one crew working, and one crew going. The $1 fees were split with the businesses that hired the workers. The Industrial Workers of the World, IWW, founded in 1905, was a union like no other. It organized workers largely ignored by more conventional unions. In 1908, the IWW set up a union hall in Spokane, through which laborers could find a job without paying the $1 fee. IWW organizers began speaking on street corners, especially on Stevens Street, where many of the employment agencies were located. Their message was, "Don't buy jobs." The political and industrial leaders of the city of Spokane tired of the IWW and its organizers after a matter of months. They passed a law prohibiting street meetings and public rallies in Spokane. In October of 1909, IWW national leadership decided that it was time for a major political action. The IWW newspaper in Spokane, The Industrial Worker, ran the story of local events under the headline, "Wanted, Men to Fill the Jails of Spokane." November 2nd, Free Speech Day. All lovers of free speech are asked to be in readiness to be in Spokane on that date. From all over the United States, IWW members and others rode the freight trains into Spokane. On the 2nd of November, 1909, hundreds of workers from all over the country were in Spokane for the specific purpose of being arrested. One person would get up on a soapbox, begin speaking, and promptly be arrested. The speeches usually got no further than "fellow workers" before the arrest was made. By the end of November, 500 speakers were in jail. Frank Little, an IWW organizer, was sentenced to 30 days of hard labor for reading the United States Declaration of Independence from the platform. The Spokane jail filled. An abandoned, unheated schoolhouse was pressed into service to hold the ever-increasing numbers of prisoners. The speakers kept on coming. Over the course of 4 months, 1,200 people had been jailed. As months passed and speakers kept arriving in Spokane to get themselves arrested, the leaders of the city did some accounting. They had spent over $250,000 convicting and jailing speakers. On the 4th of March, 1910, the city of Spokane released all of the free speech prisoners. The right of the Union to freedom of speech and freedom of assembly was recognized in that city. The industrial workers of the world accepted a permit system for public speaking proposed by the city of Spokane. 19 of the employment agencies had their business license revoked by the city. Later investigations into the agencies led to regulatory legislation. Direct hiring of migratory workers by the businesses that employed them became the norm in Spokane. Problem settled.
Are you facing a job interview? Here's some help from one of our fellow state employees.
The advice I would have if you have a job interview is research the company, have your resume up to speed. I would say take the interview class a little bit before just to brush up on your skills so you're not going to feel so nervous and feel more confident in the interview. And when you go in there, the one thing that people don't think about is this interview is as much for you as it is for them. You want a good fit and the right fit, not any fit. And the employer feels the same way. So go in there with some questions and open-minded and see what they have to say too, because the interview is as much for you as it is for them.
This has been Our View, brought to you by the members of the Washington Federation of State Employees. We remind you, when you accept a paycheck for your hard work, you don't give up your rights. Thank you for watching.
The backbone of a weekly local newspaper is the kind of news you get to know about just by talking to people. So, in a little town like Horbury, the newspaperman has to know pretty well everyone. Johnny Rooney, for instance, who keeps the newsagent's shop in Queen Street. He's usually good for a paragraph. Or Joe Batty over the way. He's always glad to stop for a chat. You pick up a lot of information from the odd encounter. Jack Kilburn is secretary of Horbury Juniors Football Club, and in summer he'll have the cricket scores. Or it's quite likely you'll be stopped in the road and told of something, a meeting or a marriage, an accident or a death. You can never really tell when you may uncover a story. Naturally, the local reporter has his regular sources too. The town hall is worth visiting twice a week. After the town hall, there's a familiar round of weekly calls, interviews with the people whose jobs keep them up to date in what's going on around town. There are 5 clubs in Horbury, and they're all worth a visit. Clubs for all politics and all ages. Games and sports results. Football and snooker. Dominoes and cribbage and whist.